On this page, you will see an overview of the flow strategy, what kind of strategy it is, some comments about the settings, and lastly, past performance. Now, it is important to emphasize that the flow strategy is bundled with Lambot, meaning it comes preloaded on Lambot when you purchase and install this first version. Another important thing about Lambot when running the flow strategy is that it runs 24/7. The best way to ensure that is to run Lambot on either a dedicated PC or laptop with constant power and internet connection, or what we would recommend is a Raspberry Pi with Ethernet connection to your modem. Now, about the flow strategy. It is a trend trading strategy, meaning it is only profitable running on trending assets, so during consolidation or choppy sideways price action, it will typically just break even or have slight wins and losses. It is also important to note that this strategy will work best for someone using it long term in order to catch the inevitable trends to the upside for Bitcoin or Ethereum. It is likely that there is not a trend for an extended period of time, and then out of nowhere Bitcoin can trend hard for 2 months. So rather than trying to time it, it is best to just keep it running at all times, because the time in the market will very much be timing the market unless you are a very experienced trader. Now, moving on to a few things about the settings. The most important thing to note is that the current settings by default produce the best backtest results we could find during all types of price action. So it is best to not stray from these settings unless you know what you are doing. At some point, we would like to have a backtester so that you can experiment with these different settings yourself, but until then, we recommend using the default settings provided once installed. Okay, now we can cover what everyone wants to see, and that is past performance. An important warning is that past performance is not a guarantee of positive future results. Market conditions change, and there is no way of knowing how a strategy will perform in the future. All we can do is use the best settings that give us the highest probability to be profitable going into the future. With that said, we can get into the results. So if we come down here, we can see that we start with an initial capital of $10,000. The exchange that is used is Bybit because that's the one that's supported by Lambot currently. The symbol is BTC/USD, and the settings that we use, which are the default settings here, are the 2-hour time frame. The trade type is long and short. The sensitivity is 4.6. The risk per trade is 5%. And we also add the exchange fees plus slippage in as 0.2%. Now, using that initial balance and settings, we can start with the 2018 performance. We have both coin margin results and the USDT margin results. The difference between the two is coin margin holds a BTC balance as margin, and the USDT margin holds a USDT balance as margin. Remember that in this current version of Lambot, only the coin margin is available, meaning you will hold Bitcoin as margin or Ethereum as margin. But we will cover both results anyways. So for the coin margin account, it started with 10K worth of BTC, which was 0.66 BTC, and ended with 1.69 BTC, or a total profit of 1.03 BTC. The USDT margin account started with 10K in USDT and ended with 25,747 USDT, or a profit of 15,747 USDT. So when we look at the actual backtest equity curve, we see long periods where it is break even and then short bursts where most of the gains come from just a few trades. This is what I explained earlier about not trying to time the market but to be exposed to the strategy for when these trends take place. So the stats for 2018 were a net profit of 157.47%, a win rate of 41.07%, a profit factor of 2.003, and a max drawdown of 26.76%, which basically means how much the account balance was down at any point along this journey. Overall, 2018 was a good year, but keep in mind this was during a severe bear market. Now let's move on to 2019. You can see with the same starting balance, the coin margin perpetual did 8.1 BTC in profit, and the USDT margin would have done 30,747 USDT in profit. The backtest shows 307.47% net profit and a max drawdown of 22.05%. This year was mainly a bullish trending year where price went from 3K to 14K, hence the steady climb in P&L. Next, let's take a look at the infamous 2020, the year of the COVID crash. It would have ended with 8.12 BTC profit on the coin margin perpetual and 58,498 USDT on the USDT perpetual. The net profit was 584.98% with a drawdown of only 21.31%, which is quite good considering how disastrous the drop was in March of 2020 due to the onset of COVID. Overall, this was a year of high volatility both ways, with an overwhelmingly bullish trend at the end of the year, leading to the exponential growth of the P&L at the tail end of this backtest. Now let's take a look at 2021, which was a dreadful range that for many trend-based strategies was quite unprofitable. However, with the flow strategy, it would have ended with 0.158 BTC profit on the coin margin perpetual contract and 5,612 USDT on the USDT perpetual contract. This was a 56.12% net profit with a 22.52% drawdown. Considering price stagnated all year in a 30K range between 60K and 30K, it performed quite well. Lastly, we will compare the flow strategy to what was the leading trend indicator and strategy used by many from 2019 until present. If you want to see what the indicator was, follow this link here for more information. Keep in mind that this strategy costs roughly 25x what the flow strategy costs per month. Now for the comparison, as you can see, it had a total net profit of around 800% with a win rate of 44.71%, a profit factor of 2.03, and a max drawdown of 49.41%. Compared to the flow strategy over the same time period had a net profit of 951.34%, a win rate of 38.61%, profit factor of 2.161, and a max drawdown of 22.52%. So even though the win rate for the flow strategy was slightly lower, it had half the drawdown and 150% more net profit than this leading strategy on Stacked Invest. That concludes the flow strategy info page. If you would like to create an account on the Lambot website, in order to download Lambot, follow the link to this account creation video here. You can also join us on our Discord community linked in the description. We look forward to having you.